regarding the Chamakam insight, which is just related to the nutrition part. Because when you see the Veda chantings, they connect in different ways. You can connect the way how you feel, it is connected to you. So for most of us, it can be your own discipline. For some of us, it can be the work what we do. We can see like through the drum, Shri Udram or any chantings what our grateful Shekhar explains. We can take it in the direction what we desire to do. So for me, it's very touching experience when I go through my job or a status where I get living from. I use the insight of every single Veda taught in the Sai Center through Shekhar in my work, in my well-being, and mostly it's always connected to my nutrition. So I constantly, when I recap or reflect on any of the chantings what are taught in this class, I rewrite for myself in my nutrition version. So suddenly I think I felt like when Shekhar Garu said, oh, he needs to go in depth regarding some of the stuff which he was discussing in Chamakam 4. I felt like I should help him because he does a lot. So I thought I should be a small sesame seed in his big picture. So I just went home and I started doing this. But I do many of these, but this is just like a small piece. So today we have just a 20-minute spotlight on just like the insight of how just the Chamakam 4, 5 and 6 are focused on how we get to know the foods what we described in the Vedic culture, and also in the continuation of Chamakam 4, if you go inside Chamakam 5, it talks about how we would be cooking our food. And then later it starts talking more about the herbs what we use in our food. So Veda scriptures knew all this even before we came up with all these different issues where we have a lot of supplements based on Indian herbs now, but Veda knew it all. So next few slides I'll just go one after the other, but just let me know if you have any questions. We can pause and go through them, but since we have short time and I feel that our focus on anything when we are learning is only for 15 to 20 minutes. That's why I always do my I don't say speeches, but just like in service or when I do a session with counseling or anything, it's not more than 20 minutes. So I just want you to know, at least if you can carry like one thing from this discussion so that you can help your family, friends and community, it will be a blessing for me. Okay, so this is just a slides, and then just make sure all these slides and the information is nothing generated from me. It's just how I understood them through the class. So I will be showing the slides, but don't think I designed those slides. Those are all from our Google Docs, like Google, which gives you everything. Okay, so the next slide, please. So this is just the history of how the nutrition started in the research side, am I right? We have guidelines, all that stuff. It started like a circle where it said like we all should sit together, and then it changed to the cone shape where it started saying what should be eaten more and what should be eaten less. As you go towards the tip of the pyramid, you go less. And then also it changed to where if you see the second row, the first slide, it talks about the cone changed from horizontal version to longitudinal version, and also if you see a guy walking up and down, so it's not just the food, it has a lot to do with your physical activity. And the last one ends up with our Vedic way of eating. We need to be eating in a plate. It doesn't matter how often you eat. There's nothing discipline said like, oh, you should eat this amount of stuff, this amount of stuff. So even when we ask the people nowadays, we ask them most of the days, how is your day? It's never like you should eat this percentage, this many calories, nothing like that. So now we ended up with a circle plate where it has all the foods which are in the circle plate will be discussed in the Chamakam. Only thing we will be missing is the little bit of fruits and vegetables, but if you recollect the Surya Upanishad, We have talked about how the sun's radiation gives the colors to the fruits and vegetables, and then how you are supposed to eat variety of fruits and vegetables. So that piece of the plate is covered in Surya Upanishad, and the other parts, grains, protein, and dairy, are covered in the Chamakam. Okay, the next slide, please. So to start the Chamakam, when you see the fourth part of Chamakam, we would have started the four basic food groups explained in the Vedic scriptures are the grains, pulses, dairy products. They never said dairy, they just said dairy products, and the healthy fats. And then when you see the picture next to it, it has a lot to share for me from the experiences, how our Guru Shekhar Garu always says, chant from your belly button, am I right? So that's where all your life energy is. But also remember, he also shares with us 90% of you are the biome, what it is, microbiome, and you're only 10%. So all the Vedic foods what are described here are not feeding your 10% of your body. They're always feeding your gut, which is the 90%, and next few slides we'll go more on why they're important for you. So how much you need from each food group is a big question mark in the world now. So constantly you see people talking about different diets, and they're talking about, oh, it's like ketogenic diet, which is very high protein based meat protein diet. And then people on the other side say plant-based diet, which is like, oh, it is curing chronic diseases. And the big new intervention, you'll be seeing it throughout the presentation, is microbiome diet, which is first described in our Vedic scriptures. And then according to the explanation of our Vedic culture, the scriptures, the grains should be 20 to 30%, and all those percentages, just keep them in mind, and as we go through, you will know why they are distributed in that way. Next slide, please. So I just want to tell you the Mother Nature, which we start our feeding, is the breastfeeding. And then when you see all the ingredients which are described in the Vedic culture are in the breast milk, where like if you see the formula on the next side, it doesn't have a lot of ingredients which the Vedic diet provides you. That's the big difference. So Mother Nature and the breast milk is the first ingredient which goes into your body, and then that has all these ingredients which do not feed your baby's just body, they feed your baby's gut, which means if you have gone through, I think most of the women, and especially if you're dads, if you have gone through the labor and delivery and every of those situations, the mom's uterus is the first one where the babies are exposed to the biome, and that's where the biome starts, because babies are very sterile when they are in the tummy, where they are protected in the uterus. But when they come out, that's where it starts. And then the first thing is the colostrum, or whatever the people understand, the first milk the baby gets is loaded with this biome. And that's the thing. And then so you're constantly, your nature is telling, feed the biome. It's not telling feed your body. It's telling the 90% of the body should be fed. Okay, so next slide, please. So now moving into the whole grains, when we see, these are some of the grains we know, what our moms cook, our grandparents cook, or our ancestors cooked. And we have a big debate not doing these grains, am I right? People are constantly talking about, oh, no more grains, no more carbs. But just we will talk briefly in the next few slides. What they're saying is no refined carbs. They're not talking to you about the whole grains. They're talking to you about refined carbs. In the new world, we are always confused because we don't do one of the things we learned in Surya Upanishad is Vachana Dana Gamana Visarganandaha. We don't pause and think when people say, or we don't ask them, tell me more. We constantly make a decision, go home and tell the mom, I'm going to stop eating rice. I'm going to stop eating wheat. But if you go in depth, that's what it is. They're not talking about these grains. They're talking about the refined carbs. They're talking about your cookies. They're talking about your donuts. They're talking about your sweets, your desserts, those things. Okay, next slide. And then when we go and see all these pulses, we have seen there is no color missing in this pulse. If you see the 7 colors of the rainbow, if you go in depth, all the 7 colors are in your pulses. So all these pulses, although they are not fruits and vegetables, they still use the sun's energy to get the color. But besides the color, there are other ingredients in these pulses which our ancestors knew or our Vedic cultures knew. And some of those ingredients are the food not for your physical body, they are the food for your gut biome. Next slide, please. And then one of the ingredients in these pulses is the soluble fiber, which is not digested by you. So if you see 10% of you and the 90% of the bacteria are sharing this food. All the Vedic food is shared by both of this. So you have a symbiotic relationship between yourself and your biome. But you do lot of stuff around the kitchen or in the processing, where you do fermentation, you do grinding, you do like all this stuff, not just for your palatability or for your texture or your preference of food or taste. You do all that indirectly to help your 90% biome to digest that food easily. So for example, if you ferment something, it's not for you, it's just you're tasting it differently, you get the variety in the food. But that fermentation helps your bacteria to eat that food. So when you go deep inside, when you say soluble fiber, they say it reduces the belly fat, but you need to realize belly fat is not just you are working on it. You need to remember belly is where your 90% of your jiva is, like your biome is 90% is in the colon, which is called colonies of bacteria. So you are feeding indirectly that. So next slide, please. So when you do this soluble fiber, you need to understand when you are 90% of the bacteria, your DNA or any of your codes all are sent to your bacteria more, which is 90%. You are just made 10%. So when you are eating this soluble fiber, it slows down the digestion. So for example, let us see, when you eat something which is related to the Vedic food or any of the pulses or anything, you eat first, right? When you eat, within 2 hours, you get the nutrition. Later, whatever is the soluble fiber, you don't eat the soluble fiber. You send it to your GI, which is the next part, which will you see in the next slide, I think. One more slide, please. I think I went backwards. Yeah, a little bit more. One more. You would see the more. Here. So what happens is when you see the stomach there at the top and you see the GI down, so you are digesting only some part of your food if you eat the Vedic food. And then rest of the food is gone to the colon, and then believe me, after 2 hours it goes into the colon and your bacteria literally uses that food, which is good bacteria, which your 90% of your DNA is based on. And when it digests that food, it provides more nutrition for your body, so you're not hungry. That's why when you eat any of the Vedic described foods, you shouldn't be eating every hour or every 2 hours. If you're eating every hour or 2 hours, that means either there is an imbalance between your biome and your stomach, or which is between your colon and stomach. So that's why we say when you eat, you're not just feeding yourself, but you're feeding your bacteria. After a couple of hours when they eat, what they do is they're very nice to you. When they eat, they release the second dose of nutrients which you did not release, and those nutrients go back, and some of those nutrients, you'll be amazed, they help your brain calm down, and they help you very soothing effect of sleepiness, which gets you more like, it removes the lethargy. It's not a sleepiness where you feel like, oh yeah, you're lethargic, but they provide some of the nutrients which you cannot, and it's using the food which you cannot digest. So you should be very thankful for your gut biome, which really uses those foods. And really, believe me, only that happens when you eat as how it's described in the Vedas. Okay. And then we talked just about the pulses, and then now when we move back, you move back to the dairy and oil seeds. And the dairy, it's amazing like how we are dominated by, I think, a lot of kids drink 3 to 4 cups of milk, 5 cups of milk. And then when you go back and see in the old cultures, like you get breastfed, and after breastfed, just because you're used to milk, mom might give a cup of milk in the morning, and later you start eating your yogurt, and then you would eat a lot of the ghee, which comes from the yogurt, but you would never be exposed to the cheese, which is also a dairy product, but it was not fermented in a way which can be processed by your biome. And then also remember the next slide, please. And when you say, I think in one of the Veda classes, we did go through this, how the yogurt is broken down, which is outside bacteria. If you are really a little child, when you see the process happening with the milk changing into yogurt, you'll be very curious. because it's nothing like you add the culture and the surrounding bacteria acts, they take the bad part of the milk which you cannot process, which is like the lactose of the milk, they break it down and then they provide you, also the protein is broken down in the yogurt. Who does all this? The biome which is surrounding in your environment. So we are surrounded by millions of biome bacteria, and also it also helps to break down just the milk, not just the sugar part. Also it eases the protein digestion. And if you see in our scriptures, they did not say you to eat the yogurt with the butter. They always separated it, because when the butter is within the yogurt, there is one type of digestion by your body, but when this butter is clarified, you get the more benefit of the butter ingredients. So our scriptures again brought us like, okay, anything which is harming, they made a processing technology. But now in the food processing, it's different, am I right? They make your life more like dangerous by processing stuff. But our ancestors, whatever they used for processing, it was always to help your biome. It was never to like, something damaging your balance. Okay, next. So if you are more interested, I can go over or give some more tips on this, but these are some of the things you'll know about the butter, the clarified butter. If you see some of those vitamins and minerals and things, what the butter gives, you will not get them as a supplement and as a combination. And also you should remember, when the food provides you this combination of nutrients, it matches to you, because the body has this like creation and the creature thing, like you are within the elements, so you can adjust or absorb them better, which is called bioavailability, which is better than when you just consume some supplements, which are like, I have seen people taking some of the supplements like linolenic acid or something. Instead, if you start doing the food, then it would be absorbed better. Next. And then the oily seeds, we talked a lot about the sesame seeds, and I think we shared few things regarding the pickles and all that, but I'll go next. You will see these are just the benefits. Next slide, please. So I just really wanted to let you know whichever oils you are using, just make sure you need to have a certain combination of oils which can be only achieved if you can use sesame oil. So when you go, if you put the arrow on the sesame oil, it has a very equal combination of mono and polyunsaturated, which your body needs only in that way. You don't need to talk to somebody, oh, how many times I should cook with olive oil, how many times I should eat butter. No, you don't need to do that when you just rely on sesame oil totally. Okay, next slide. And then I just wanted to share this slide. If you see there, it says the dried sesame seeds, which is just 1/4 cup. If you want, just make a copy of this and take with you and just read it like few times. If you are taking any supplements for any of the reasons, if you see, I think the slide is little like blurry, but copper, manganese, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, zinc, molybdenum, selenium, and vitamin B1, which lot of the, I don't want to discriminate, most of the vegetarians, we always think, oh, we are deficit. But if you can eat like a half a cup of sesame seeds, either in the form of I know a lot of our moms and grandmas, they have a lot of recipes. Just make sure that will give you a dose of a very healthy vitamin supplement. And then also remember, not the sesame oil to share, because it should be the sesame seed. Okay, when you do the oil, it's crushed or it's called pressed oil. Some other, it is healthy, but these ingredients will be missing. Okay, next one. And then you would be seeing a lot of people saying, eat soybean, eat that, this to get phytosterols, they will help you. And all that science came just from our one sesame seed our Vedic culture knew. And that sesame seed had these phytosterols in such a content where they would affect to lower the cholesterol levels to a healthy level. So, and then when the people started doing the research, they thought, oh, let us find the phytosterol where it is available in our world, where they have already genetically engineered tons of peanuts, tons of soybeans, and they started taking it out through the food science technology. I have a food science background, but sometimes I think sometimes it's sad to be highly developed in technology. You try to, I don't know what word to use, you go to the nature and you destroy the nature and try to take what you want. That's not how the nature works. Because the sesame seed had this polysterol a long time ago, and our ancestors knew that go ahead and take it along with your food. Okay? And then when you say the brain gut, I just wanted to share with you the same thing goes with the oils too. Like whenever you eat, the leftover is digested by your gut biome, so you are feeding the biome. And when you do any processed oils, like I don't want to share because that's not going to help you, because we are aware of the bad stuff more. So just make sure your gut has both good and bad, and the Vedic culture explains, our Vedas explain how to increase the good bacteria, and whatever is not there, it's affecting your bad bacteria. And then this is like one of the things, like people scared everybody, don't do this, your cholesterol will go up. Now everybody, the super fat is our ghee, what our mom made to eat us, a tablespoon or even like a ladle, they pour it on the rice. And myself, I feel like, oh my God, I used to tell people, but it is so evolving science. So don't feel bad like if you said something to your child, nothing. It's always evolving, but since we are blessed to be in this class, we connect faster. And then these are the grains, how we arrange when we do the Navagraha Puja and all. So when you see all the planets, I think we did learn a lot about why they are arranged like that. And also it was mentioned in the Vedas, if you have certain deficiency, we all run to the temples to do the pujas and prayers. I don't say go ahead and do that. But see, the Vedas created that. When you're deficient of something and some energy, you do get fed with one of those, that energies are balanced. And our ancestors did like that. They just did not go and said like, oh, okay, do this. Because Vedas always keep you very connected to what you should do as your part, and then let the nature decide it. And then we talk this about the humans and probiotics have a symbiotic relationship. So until you keep that relationship good, you do good with not just the gut, also with your brain. And these are just a list of the grains which were explained in our Chamakam. Next slide. So just to summarize briefly, so you might be listening to people talking a lot about probiotic supplements, prebiotic supplements. So remember, all the Vedic food is prebiotic. Am I right? Everything is prebiotic. Prebiotic is nothing but the foods which you eat, and then they do get absorbed in your stomach to a certain extent, and they still have leftover stuff like soluble fiber and some of the ingredients which are left for your colon bacteria, and then colon bacteria uses that as a food. And the colon bacteria is nothing but your probiotics. The good bacteria in the colon is the pro. So when you do prebiotics, when you eat a lot of Vedic foods, you are not just feeding yourself, you are feeding your probiotics. So the slide looks small, but this is like a recent research. It just summarizes everything. Like we learned in our Vedas that 90% of you is the biome, and also we learned a lot how our gut feeling always takes you further rather than your physical feeling, or you feel energized. But when you say, even before when I was coming to this class, I needed to just really use the bathroom, because my gut is concerned. Like it is saying like, oh, you are talking for the first time, and then you don't want to share too much, you want to stay in your limits. So the gut talks to you instantly. So make sure, believe the gut and then feed the gut. And then this is in different languages how all the Navadhanyas are explained. And then I think you guys watched this video. Okay, next. Cool. Okay, so I think my last slide, I added it to my other document, but the last slide was nothing but the new secret of the diets is the microbiome diet. So I hope you guys, when you talk to somebody, don't feel like, oh, I'm a vegetarian, I want to go towards the ketogenic diet. But our microbiome diet was already created by our ancestors or scriptures or Vedas. And also along with the microbiome diet, if you see, there is a lot of research going on plant-based diet. And the plant-based diet is also how the Vedic scriptures explain. Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And if you need anything, little bit more information, if I know it or if I'm aware of it,